Some places on Earth look beautiful from far away, but the closer you get, the more you feel something is wrong. These islands are not scary because of myths. They are terrifying because of what truly happened there. Tonight, I'm taking you to 5 real islands where history feels heavier than the ocean around them. No fake stories. No cheap jump scares. Just true events that are darker than fiction. Stay with me till the end, because each island gets more disturbing than the last. 1. North Sentinel Island. I remember the first time I saw the map of North Sentinel Island. It did not look special. Just a small green patch in the Andaman Sea. But when I started reading about it, I felt something heavy in my chest. This was not just an island. This was a place where the modern world simply stops. In November 2018, an American missionary named John Allen Chow decided to go there. He was 26 years old. He believed he had a mission from God. He knew the island was restricted by the Indian government. He knew the Sentinelese tribe living there had rejected all outside contact for thousands of years. And he still went. Local fishermen secretly took him close to the island at night. Even imagining that boat ride makes my hands feel cold. No lights. No official permission. Just dark water and an island known for killing outsiders. The first time he approached the shore, members of the tribe came out with bows and arrows. They shouted at him. He tried to speak to them. He even carried gifts. But within seconds, an arrow hit his Bible. That moment alone feels unreal. A physical clash between 2 completely different worlds. He did not stop. He returned again the next day. According to the fishermen who later reported the story, the tribe attacked him on the beach. They saw his body being dragged across the sand. After that, no one could go back. The Indian authorities tried to assess the situation, but they never recovered his body. The island remains completely off limits. When I read his last diary entries, I felt disturbed. He wrote that he was scared. He wrote that he did not want to die. But he also wrote that he believed it was worth it. That mix of fear and faith makes this story even heavier. There is something deeply unsettling about North Sentinel Island. Not because of ghosts. Not because of monsters. But because it is one of the last places on Earth where humans live untouched by the modern world. No internet. No electricity. No outside laws. Just survival. And if you cross that invisible line, you may never come back. The scariest part is not what happened in 2018. The scariest part is knowing that even today, if someone tries to land there, the outcome would likely be the same. Some places are not abandoned. Some places are protected by history itself. And North Sentinel Island does not forgive strangers. To Poveglia Island. I first saw Poveglia from a small boat in the Venice Lagoon. It did not look dramatic. No huge cliffs. No dark castle. Just broken buildings and a tall bell tower rising above wild trees. But the closer we moved, the quieter everything felt. Even the water looked still. Poveglia was used in the 18th century as a quarantine station during the plague. Historical records confirm that thousands of infected people were sent there. Many never left. Some historians believe mass graves still exist under the soil. When I stepped onto the island, that thought stayed with me. Every step felt heavy, like the ground was not just earth. Later, in the early 1900s, a mental hospital operated there. That part is also documented. Patients were kept inside the main building. Local stories say a doctor performed experiments there, though hard evidence of extreme torture is limited. What is confirmed is that the hospital closed in 1968. After that, the island was abandoned. When I walked through the main structure, the windows were broken. Paint was peeling from the walls. The smell of damp air mixed with old brick dust. I kept thinking about the patients, who once stared out of those same windows, seeing nothing but water on all sides. No escape. That isolation is real. You can feel it. At one point, I stood inside the old bell tower courtyard. The tower itself is sealed now for safety, but it still dominates the island. There is a persistent local legend that a doctor jumped from it after claiming he was driven mad by the spirits of his patients. Official records confirm a doctor died there, but the dramatic haunting details mostly come from oral stories passed down in Venice. Still, standing there, I understood how those stories were born. The silence on Poveglia is unnatural. Venice is usually full of noise, boats, voices, tourists. But here, there was nothing. No birds. No movement. Just wind moving through empty hallways. For a moment, I heard what sounded like a distant metallic clang. It was probably loose debris. But in that silence, it felt like something else. The Italian government officially restricts public access to the island. It has been closed for decades. That fact alone adds weight. This is not a theme park horror story. This is a real place where plague victims died and mentally ill patients were confined. When I left the island and looked back from the boat, I felt relief. Not fear exactly. Something heavier. Poveglia does not need ghosts to be terrifying. Its history is enough. 3 Hashima Island. The first time I saw Hashima Island, it did not look like an island. It looked like a warship made of concrete, frozen in the sea. That is why people call it Battleship Island. From far away, the buildings rise straight from the water, dark and lifeless. I visited Nagasaki and took one of the official tours that are allowed today. You cannot explore freely. Only certain paths are open because most of the structures are unsafe. Even before stepping off the boat, the guide told us something that stayed with me. This island was once one of the most densely populated places in the world. In the late 1800s, coal was discovered here. Mitsubishi bought the island and turned it into a mining facility. By the 1950s, more than 5,000 people lived on this tiny piece of land. Families, children, schools, shops, all stacked inside concrete apartment blocks. From a distance, it must have looked powerful. From inside, I imagine it felt suffocating. During World War II, Korean and Chinese laborers were brought here, many against their will. Historical records confirm harsh working conditions underground. Mining was dangerous. Accidents happened. Some workers died due to collapses and poor air. That part is not legend. That part is documented. When Japan shifted from coal to petroleum in the 1970s, the mine closed. In 1974, residents left almost overnight. Within weeks, the island was empty. No gradual decline, just silence. As I walked along the restricted pathway, I could see broken staircases hanging in midair. Apartments still had old tiles on the walls, rusted televisions, empty classrooms. The wind moved through the hollow buildings, creating a low echo that sounded almost like distant voices. I knew it was just air passing through concrete, but in that moment, it did not feel simple. I tried to imagine living there. No trees, no soil, just walls and ocean on every side. If you stood on the roof, there was nowhere to look except water. That kind of isolation changes people. One spike hit me when the guide pointed toward the old school building. Children once played there while their fathers worked deep underground in darkness. Every day, men went below the sea level to mine coal. Every day, families waited for them to come back up. When the tour ended and our boat pulled away, I kept staring at the island until it became small again. Hashima is not officially called haunted by the government. It is now a UNESCO World Heritage Site. But standing there, surrounded by empty concrete towers and stories of forced labor and sudden abandonment, I understood why people feel uneasy. There are no ghosts jumping from windows, but there is history trapped in those walls. And sometimes, that feels heavier than any spirit. For Bikini Atoll, I remember standing on the deck of a small boat as we moved across the bright blue water of Bikini Atoll. From a distance, it looked like paradise. Clear ocean, white sand, palm trees moving gently in the wind. If you did not know the history, you would think it was untouched heaven. But in 1946, this peaceful place became the center of nuclear testing. The United States military selected Bikini Atoll for Operation Crossroads. Before the first bomb was detonated, the local Bikinians were asked to leave their homes. Historical records show they were told it was for the good of mankind. Many believed they would return soon. They never truly did. Between 1946 and 1958, 23 nuclear bombs were detonated here. One of them, the Castle Bravo test in 1954, was far more powerful than expected. It contaminated surrounding islands with radioactive fallout. Fishermen hundreds of miles away were exposed. Even today, radiation levels in some areas remain unsafe for permanent living. As I looked at the calm water, I tried to imagine what it must have felt like on the day of the blast. The sky turning white, the shockwave tearing across the lagoon, the ocean itself rising. There are photographs and official military footage that shows ships placed near the explosion just to study the damage. Many were destroyed instantly. The island feels quiet now. Too quiet. Divers today visit the lagoon because several warships sunk during the tests still rest underwater. They have become artificial reefs. Fish swim through broken steel structures. On the surface, everything looks peaceful. But beneath that beauty lies metal twisted by nuclear force. The spike that hit me hardest was not the explosion itself. It was the displacement. The Bikinians were moved to other islands that could not properly support them. Food shortages followed. Health issues linked to radiation exposure were later documented among Marshallese people. When I read interviews from displaced families, the sadness feels heavy. They describe missing their homeland, missing graves of ancestors, missing the simple sound of waves against the shore. Standing there, I realized Bikini Atoll is not haunted by ghosts in the traditional sense. It is haunted by consequence, by decisions made far away in military rooms, by promises that were never fully kept. The palm trees still move in the wind. The water still shines under the sun. But the silence carries history that cannot be erased. And once you know what happened there, it never feels like paradise again. 5. Ramree Island. When I first read about Ramree Island, I thought it was just another World War II battlefield. But the deeper I went into the records, the more disturbing it became. This was not just a battle between armies. Nature itself became part of the horror. In early 1945, British forces launched an operation to capture Ramree Island from Japanese troops. The island was strategically important because of its airfield. The fighting pushed hundreds of Japanese soldiers into the mangrove swamps to escape capture. That decision changed everything. The swamps of Ramree are not normal wetlands. They are thick, dark, and filled with saltwater crocodiles. These are not small animals. Some grow over 20 feet long. Even today, locals warn fishermen to stay alert near certain areas. Historical accounts, including British naturalist Bruce Wright, describe what happened next. He wrote that during the nights following the battle, the sounds coming from the swamp were terrifying. Gunfire slowly faded. Then came screams. Not quick screams. Long, desperate ones. He claimed crocodiles attacked many of the trapped soldiers. The exact number of deaths caused by crocodiles is debated by historians. Some say hundreds. Others believe the number was exaggerated. What is confirmed is that out of roughly 1,000 Japanese soldiers who entered the swamp, only a small number survived and were captured. The rest died from combat, disease, starvation, or animal attacks. I once spoke to someone whose grandfather served in the Burma campaign. He told me that older veterans rarely spoke about Ramri, not because of military defeat, but because of the sounds. He said the men described nights where they could not see anything, only hear splashing water, and sudden violent movement in the dark. When I imagine standing at the edge of those mangroves at night, I feel a different kind of fear. Not ghosts, not legends, just black water stretching in every direction, thick mud pulling at your legs, and knowing that something powerful is moving beneath the surface. The scariest part is that this was not a myth created for horror books. The battle happened. The swamp is real. The crocodiles are still there today. Ramri Island does not need haunted houses or abandoned hospitals to be terrifying. Its horror came from war, desperation, and nature combining at the worst possible moment. Sometimes, the most chilling stories are the ones written in official war records. And Ramri is one of them.